Today we're going to be making a fun and festive project that's perfect for any party or wedding you might be throwing. It's inspired by vintage sports pennants, but you don't have to just celebrate your favorite sports team. In this case, we're going to be celebrating love. So first, let's talk about the supplies you're going to be needing to create this project. The first and most important is the cardstock that you choose to use for this project, and we're going to be using My Colors cardstock from My Mind's Eye. It's a really great weight that's going to last a long time at your party. I chose 3 different contrasting colors in Pink Delight, Dovetail, and Oceanside. But there are so many options in My Colors cardstock that you could choose any color to match the decor of your party or your wedding. So look through all the colors and find some that match the feeling you want. Next, you're going to need a way to cut your paper. I love to use a clear quilting ruler and a rotary blade, but you could use a paper trimmer or scissors. That would work just fine, and also an X-Acto knife for this project. Okay, next you're going to need a dowel, and I've chosen one that is 36 inches long, and we're going to leave it this long so that if you want at your party, you can put it right in the ground and use it as a flag to direct people or just to celebrate. It's 1/4 of an inch thick, so it has a nice substantial feel. It's not going to break easily if someone bumps into it or if it gets blown over. And then the last thing you'll need is ribbon. We've chosen a twill ribbon from Studio Carta, which we really love. It has that nice sporty feel, but it also has a line of gold right through the center, so it adds a little bit of fun and party elegance. But you could use any ribbon that you love or that matches your decor. Let's start with step 1, which is to create the base of our project, the actual pennant shape. It's really simple to do with the 12 by 12 paper. So I'm starting with the dovetail. I'm going to use that as the base. I'm just lining up my ruler, and on the top we make a mark right at 6 inches, so right in the center of the paper. And at the bottom we want to mark every 3 inches. So I'm just going to go through, and at the very bottom of my paper, mark it. And we're doing it at the 3, the 6, and the 9. And the reason we do that is so we can get the perfect angle. So this is why I love using the quilting clear ruler so much, because I can see the exact angle I'm creating. But you could use a paper trimmer just as easily. And all I'm doing is lining up my 3-inch mark with the corner of the top of the paper, and now you can see I've got that great angle to create a triangle. And then I'm going to go ahead and cut, and now I have that really beautiful clean angle that I want. Now doing it this way means you'll get the same angle on each side. So now I'm lining it up from that same 3-inch mark to the 6-inch mark this time. And that's going to give me the exact same angle and a perfect triangle. And we cut right through, missed a spot. There we go. And now we have our perfect pennant base. Step 2 is to cut the words that you would like to go on your pennant banner. And now I've used a silhouette cameo, but you could just trace and cut these letters yourself. But one thing I want to point out is just how clean this paper cuts in cutting machines or in die cut machines. Because of the way that the paper is made and the fibers in the paper, it gives you a really nice, really clean cut. So I'm just peeling this right off, and there's no bad edges. It's all just a really beautiful clean cut. One thing to remember with this, because the cardstock is a little bit of a heavier weight, when I'm using my silhouette cameo, I like to cut it on a heavier medium weight paper as opposed to just the cardstock setting. So think about that as you're cutting your paper. And the other thing I want to point out is this Pink Delight paper has a really beautiful glaze to it. So it has like a lovely sheen. It's not just a flat paper, and it gives a lot of dimension to your project. In step 3, we're going to create the connecting piece that we'll use to connect the base to the dowel itself. It's really easy to do. We're just going to cut a 1-inch strip, and in this case I'm using Oceanside now, which is a great blue, almost navy blue. and we're just gonna cut a 1-inch piece. If you want the banner to be even bigger, you could cut a bigger piece, but we're just gonna do 1 inch. Okay, and then we have to get the angle right. So the way I like to do that is by first attaching it to the project. So we're just gonna use a little bit of glue stick glue, and we're just gonna run right along the edges of our project. And we're gonna connect those. Okay, so we've done that now. And the reason I like to connect it is so it doesn't shift as I'm cutting it. So you could do this with a pair of scissors and just follow the line. But again, I like to use the ruler just to make sure we get a nice clean cut. And I just line it up along the angle we already had. And let's get that. And cut it like that. And then we'll do the same on the other side. We'll line it up. And cut. And now we have that great base piece that we need. And then we'll just add the letters right on. Again, using a glue stick. Pop out some of these little empty spaces. And again, you can see how well this paper cuts. These are just tiny, tiny little pieces and so clean and nice. So I'm just gonna run the glue stick right over and attach it right on top. And I've used a script font in this case. Makes the pennant a little bit more girly. Not so sporty. Okay, and we're gonna add that right on. The last step is to connect it to our dowel. So the way we're gonna do that is by cutting 2 little slits for our ribbon to go through. So I'm going right to the center of that 1-inch piece we've cut. And I'm gonna cut one at the bottom and one at the top. And I just need to cut it as wide as my ribbon. So we've cut that. And then we're gonna cut 2 pieces of ribbon. And you want this to have a couple inches of extra because you're gonna be tying it. So you need to be able to tie those knots. And I love to do it at an angle. It just makes it feel a little bit more finished. And we'll just pop that right through the opening we've created. And the reason why we add this extra piece on is to make it a little bit longer, but also to make it a little bit thicker. So as these flags get blown around by wind, if you're at an outdoor activity, the base is really strong and it's not just going to tear. Again, this paper is a really nice heavy weight paper, well, medium weight. And so it works really well on projects like these. So there we go. We've run the ribbon through, and then we're just gonna tie it right onto our dowel. So the first thing I like to do is actually tie 1 knot before I even tie the dowel on, or half a knot, I guess. And I like to do that because it gives it a little bit of space before you attach the flag, so the flag flies nicely. So there you can see it just kind of creates like a little buffer for the dowel. And then we're just gonna tie it right on, and I do it a couple inches from the top. And you wanna tie a full knot here. And then we'll tie the bottom. Knot that again. And just pull those to the side. And there you can see, that's our finished project. Only a few steps, and it just is really, really great. And there you have it. With a few easy steps and some simple supplies, you can hit a home run for your next party every time.